Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Matt here from YoVideogames, back again with more of a discussion video rather than a reaction video, since I reacted to these long ago and my reaction was very plain-faced. That's not to say that it wasn't exciting or anything, but I just didn't want to lead you guys on a reaction video where there wasn't any real honest-to-God reactions. But that being said, so what happened this morning? Well, we got a little Indie World Showcase from Nintendo, which was kind of interesting because here we are, it's December 15th. There's only about 2 weeks left in this dumpster fire of a year. And yeah, Nintendo decides to just drop out of the blue an indie direct. So that's kind of neat, actually, I guess. And I'll talk more about, the first party, third party stuff later. But for now, let me just focus a little bit on what was actually shown here this morning, which was actually kind of cool, I thought. It wasn't that bad of a little showcase. Actually, a lot of little decent stuff. They kicked it off with saying Spelunky 1 and 2 are going to come to the Switch in the summer. I don't know much about these games. They're like roguelike platformers. Don't really interest me. I mean, if you guys want to try to convince me on the merits of these things, please go ahead and do so on my social media. The second game was Fistafluffs, I believe it was called. It basically looked like gang beasts with cats. So yeah, I could see that happening with the YoVideogames crew. Once the apocalypse is over and we're all back together again. It definitely looked fun for what it was. Again, you take something like Gang Beasts, and then everyone's a cat in like a house, and they go at it. I won't talk about everything, I guess. I'll just try not to get too bogged down and just doing a play-by-play. But depending on what it costs, it depends on whether or not, probably what we'll see of it from YoVideogames, maybe. But I did want to jump ahead. God help me on pronouncing this game. But one of the most interesting games to me that was shown at the showcase was Tunche, which is a brawler, belt scroller style beat 'em up from Peru. And I love it when we get to see video games coming from different parts of the world that traditionally don't have any real notoriety for game development. I actually really like seeing shit like that happen. Sometimes you get really cool gems. So, I've kind of been someone who's taken an eye on games from Chile and from India and stuff like that, and games from Spain. Spain's really kind of come up, the last decade, with a lot of really cool stuff. So seeing a game from Peru, and the nice thing about this game is that, okay, yeah, it's a brawler, belt scroller style beat 'em up is what it looks like, but it's hand drawn. It's got this really nice hand drawn aesthetic. It doesn't look, like another 8-bit or even 16-bit, throwback retro style. It actually very unique. It's actually way closer to Castle Crashers as far as design goes, and I really like this. I like the idea. It's got the Hat Kid from Hat in Time is also a guest character. I don't care. But yeah, it looked really charming. It looked really good. I really like the visuals of it. I like the gameplay of it because, Streets of Rage 4 came out this year, and that was fantastic, and I'm always ready for more stuff like that. Takedown was fun as well. So I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but Tunche from Peru looked pretty awesome. I'm actually really excited about that, and that comes out in March. I will absolutely be checking that game out on my channel. And I don't know how they're going to handle multiplayer or anything like that, but yeah, that was a really nice surprise. That is the kind of nice surprise you want to see from an Indie World Showcase. That's the goal there for me, is when I'm watching this, is like, oh, discover something new that looks really cool and unique and neat. And then they followed that up with Cyber Shadow, which was the project that being published by Yacht Club Games. Some people think it's a Yacht Club game. It's really not. It's I'm trying to remember, it's Mechanical Hero is the actual developer of it, and it's very much in the style of Ninja Gaiden, or what was that one game, Shadow of the Ninja, which is now on the NES. It's one of those, it's got that sort of Sunsoft / early Natsume or Tecmo vibe to it. It looks really good. Everything about it I've seen, and it's been in development for forever. And it feels like every 6 months or so we get some new trailer or update to remind us that A exists. Yes, and to that. Yeah, it actually looks really cool. And yeah, we got another trailer updated. It comes out January 26th, so we're finally on the, feels like we're on the verge of the release of the game, and it looks hot. It looks super hot. I'm very excited about this one. This is definitely going to be one that I definitely play and cover on this channel and on Twitch. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. This looks really good. You know, it's definitely a game like I think someone like Steve would be interested in too. Maybe. Yeah, like obviously, like there is, I recently went through and completed the Messenger, and I really like that. I don't think it's gonna have the same style or same, because like Messenger went from like a side scroller to a Castlevania, a Metroid game, Metroidvania. I don't think Cyber Shadow is gonna be doing anything crazy like that, but it also has amiibo support for the Shovel Knight amiibos, which is pretty neat. Doesn't look like it's anything like, game altering, but definitely one to watch out for. I'm really excited about Cyber Shadow, and I'll definitely be covering that later on as well. There was an interesting game that was shown called Alba, a wildlife adventure. This is what makes this interesting to me is this comes from the Monument Valley developers, and that's a pretty cool game. But this is like a fully 3D game and not something that's like trying to be this MC Escher like mind-bending puzzle 2D game. But it's got a really nice look, aesthetic. It's kind of got that sort of simplistic Unreal Cell shaded vibe going to it, but it definitely seems like a kind of chill kickback game. It's basically an eco-friendly game. Go around an island, save animals, like clean up pollution. I mean, I come from an era where an eco-friendly game used to be Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt, and yeah, this looks way better than that. So the developers got pedigree, so maybe it'll be something cool. I don't really know. I guess I'll have to like wait. I'm on a wait and see on this to see how it turns out, how it runs on the Switch. The idea vibes with me, but on the same time, sometimes these games kind of just become chore simulators. A game I don't see getting talked about enough is well, I guess as the Nintendo people described it, Genocia. And I'm looking at it like, fuck you, I played Xenosaga. This is Nocia. The G should be silent, but whatever. It's basically a visual novel and Among Us. Yes, I called it Among Us. Get used to that. Rolled into one. It's actually kind of brilliant, I think, in a way. I don't know if it's gonna. There's that sort of, this is just a copycat of Among Us, and like, I don't want to play it or whatever. But like, the idea of taking something like Danganronpa or Dangle Grandpa, as I call it, mixing that with the idea of, hey, it's like Among Us, but it's single player, and it's done in these 5 to 15 minute blocks, and it kind of mixes this visual novel style and this sort of whodunit drama that you get from a guided, crafted story experience. That's actually kind of fucking awesome. This game could explode, or it could just get buried really quickly. But it definitely kind of seems like the game that, like, Yoko Taro would play or something. This actually seems kind of like a really cool experience. I hope, for this game's sake, that it's not too expensive, because it's a really cool idea, and I think it could really take off, or it could just get buried in a sea of like apathy and like, you're just a copycat game or whatever. But the art's pretty cool on it. And again, I think the idea is really solid, which is, to create a single player experience that's very story and art driven for Among Us. That could be really dope. Again, one of those like, this is what I had liked seeing in a Nintendo Direct. And then there was just a weird kind of game called, I think it was just called Happy Game. I guess it's like a puzzle-ish platformer kind of deal. It just looked like a game that I think kids are going to love. Kids are going to love seeing something that's just fucking creepy as shit mixed with like, the super cutesy aesthetic. And the kids are just going to fucking eat this game up. Like, I don't know how anyone else feels about it, but it's like, my first thought of that game is like, oh, kids are going to love this shit. And despite how scary it is, my kids love being scared. There was like and then we got an update on Super Meat Boy Forever, which I guess has console launch exclusivity on the Switch. Super Meat Boy is super fun. Weird. I used to think this was like some sort of like runner game or something. Maybe it is. but like from what I saw today, it kind of just looked like more Super Meat Boy, which isn't a bad thing by any means. But yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be quality. A lot, the original's quality. I don't see why this wouldn't be. And it comes out like 2 days before Christmas, so that's pretty nuts. Yeah, and moving along, they kind of, we saw a little bit of Grindstone, and then we got like this montage, which is kind of really unfortunate because I feel like the montage at the end of the episode actually showcased some somewhat interesting looking games, like more interesting than some of the games that were like more heavily presented with the developer interviews in the show, which is a little unfortunate. But I think the one I really would talk the most about is I don't even know how it's pronounced, but Hoa or HOA, like Hoa or Ho, or probably not Ho. But my God, this was a really, really good looking game. Like there's a trailer online that you can go online and check out. That's a little longer, obviously, than the one we saw at the show, in the indie showcase. But Hoa, holy shit, like it's this hand-drawn background puzzle platformer, and it looks shockingly good, like really fucking good. There were some other interesting things where like something like Hazel Sky, which looked like it was trying to be a lot more graphically intensive than other games. It looked interesting, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. Trash Sailors had a really interesting aesthetic. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, man, I'm kind of surprised some of these games didn't get way more play. You got like some weird like old school JRPG looking game called Finding Paradise. I don't really know what that's about. Looks like a survival RPG of some sort, but yeah, like weird that there wasn't more showcase for some of those games, because Hoa looked really, really good, and some of the other ones did too. So kind of a weird bummer that like those got stuck into this little end of the show montage. And then of course the big announcement was that Among Us came to Switch today. It has cross compatibility with PC and mobile. It's a fucking huge win for Nintendo. Like, if I was Sony and Microsoft, I'd actually be pissed right now. But there you go. Huge get for them. Probably a very simple no brains, or no. I don't think anyone. Well, I'm getting at here. I don't think anybody crunched for fucking weeks to get this out on the Switch. At least I hope not. But huge win for Nintendo. Huge big play. Huge plays, as Gerard would say. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, ending it on a big ass announcement for Among Us. I think the big shock was that there was no Silk Song. I don't know what's going on with that game, because it was playable at what will probably be the last E3 ever, and it still has no release date or no real updates in a long ass time. So I have no idea what's going on with that game. I know a lot of people are huge fans of Hollow Knight. I feel kind of bad for Hollow Knight fans, because it feels like, I'm sure they're working hard on the game, but it must be just frustrating as all fucking hell to not have any real updates on the project for so long. Like, I'm sure they're working hard on it, but damn, dude, like you guys have been left out to dry. So this brings me to sort of the other thing I talked about before, which was, what is Nintendo going to do going into the future? So we're getting to that point now where Nintendo's running out of known projects. Most everything they talked about being for the holidays is now out. Even that old school Fire Emblem game. They have, as far as release dates, we know that they have other games in development, but as far as games with actual known releases, we have one left, and it's a fucking port. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which is coming out in February. And after that, Nintendo doesn't have any actual known release dates for anything. So we're getting to that sort of point where it's like, you gotta start talking about what the fuck else you're gonna do on your system. I expect that in January, or maybe even early February, they'll have some sort of first party direct. It might just be entirely focused on 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, because we really know nothing about Bowser's Fury so far for 3D World. We just know that it exists. We know that it's coming. It's and I think EAD Tokyo is making it, so I'm expecting it to be really good. And then the other one is, well, Monster Hunter Rise is coming out. I'm like, yeah, and that's not a Nintendo game, and thanks to some other nefarious things, we know it's not even a Switch exclusive. any longer, or won't be forever. So yeah, like March 26th we have Monster Hunter Rise. I get it. And it's a big deal. It'll be a big deal for Capcom. It'll be a big deal for Nintendo. But the rest of 2021, which is where their actual fiscal year starts on April 1st, 2021, we know fuck all about what they're doing for the entirety of their next coming fiscal year. And I do think it's going to be, they will start to have to talk about what they're going to do, because January, obviously they got nothing coming out. We got Sephiroth this week, maybe, and January is just going to be a blank slate for them. Fine, whatever. February will be their big Mario 3D port, and they have Monster Hunter at the end of March. And then that's where we get in. Okay, so what is Nintendo going to do starting April? And I do think we're going to find out, because Nintendo seems to operate on this like hey, we announce a game 2 months ahead of its release, and then it comes out, and then we go, which is why I kind of think late January, early February, we're going to hear some announcement of some game for April. I think it would be nice if it was an actual new developed game for the system, because Nintendo, they had Pikmin 3. I mean, they technically had Hyrule Warriors, which was new and unique, whatever. And then, but it wasn't made by them. And then their next game that they release, first party published, is another port. So Wii U port, third party collab, Wii U port. I mean, when it rolls around to April, it's like, okay, Nintendo's first party's got to have fucking something ready to go. I'm going to be honest, I don't think fucking Pikmin 3 or Mario 3D World took up a huge amount of time. We don't know. I mean, Bowser's Fury, maybe it did. Maybe Bowser's Fury is a huge fucking expansion, and EA Tokyo's been working their asses off since the end of Odyssey on this thing, and that would be fucking fantastic. I would lose my shit for that. I would love that to be reality, but yeah, there's another part of me that's kind of like, okay, your teams have got to have been doing something for months. Like, this is getting out of hand. Am I just whining or complaining? No, I'm actually saying be hopeful. I think late January, early February, we will get some sort of first-party direct. I hope it's more than just a simple announcement on Twitter about, hey, here's fucking Kirby and the Rainbow Canvas Curse, like Wii U port to the Switch. I hope it's more than something like that. I hope it's more than Wii U port. I actually, personally, I think Nintendo is okay. You're kind of. I feel like you're done. There's not much left on the Wii U for them to port left. I hear you, Xenoblade X fans. But yeah, for me right now, it's like, okay, it's time to start talking about some new games. And yeah, there's the big elephant in the room, which is, where's Bayonetta 3? Where's Metroid Prime 4? Where's Zelda Breath of the Wild 2? And they're coming. I don't think they're coming soon. My guess is Bayonetta 3 is going to be late summer, early fall. I think Breath of the Wild 2 will be their big holiday release. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is coming out at all this year. So yeah, there's where I stand. I'm just, I'm really hoping to see, what else they've been cooking. I want to be surprised. Obviously, I want to know about Monolith Soft's next project. That's what I care about the most. The rest of Nintendo can burn to the ground. No, I'm not gonna say that. I could care less about most of what Nintendo's internal first parties are doing. If you were to ask me versus what Monolith Soft's doing, yeah, I want to know what Monolith Soft's doing. The rest of you can go pound sand. But I do actually want to know what the rest of Nintendo is up to, because I am genuinely curious, because it has been some time since a lot of Nintendo's first party development studios have released a project, or even announced a project. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm expecting, at some point, like, we're gonna need to see about Splatoon 3. What's the Mario Kart team been up to? What's a lot of these teams been up to? And I don't know. I'm interested to figure that out, find out what's going on there. And I think we will. I think we'll start hearing, movement probably in early February about, what they got going for the rest of the year. Some people will be like, well, what about No More Heroes 3? I'm like, that's not a Nintendo published game, and it's an M-rated game. Nintendo not going to be banking a lot of money on a third-party game, third-party published M-rated game on No More Heroes 3. And I'm looking forward to that game a lot, but, like, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Nintendo's sitting there thinking, like, all right, we're going to make 5 million sales off of this, buddy. So, yeah, Interesting that we got an indie showcase at the end of the year, and part of me feels that the reason we got this in the middle of December is because Nintendo wanted to get all the talk and discussion on indie games for early next year out of the way, because they're going to talk about their stuff next month or maybe early February. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you on the channel later, dudes.